Hello my loyal companions, welcome back to the channel. 2020 is almost over and I want to take this as an opportunity to look ahead to what will come from Rogue Company in 2021. I think next year is going to be a really big defining time for Rogue Company. I think that's when the game should go into a full release and when it should become mainstream for a lot of people in the gaming world. I'll be talking about new gameplay features such as new rogues, new maps, new game modes, etc. I'll be talking about the ranked system, I'll be talking about the competitive scene, and I'll also just be talking about some quality of life changes that I know we're all looking forward to. If you do go on to enjoy the video or just want to spend your 2021 with daily educational Rogue Company content, then make sure you drop a like and subscribe to the channel. But for now, let's get into it. Rogue Company has been my main game and the full focus of my content since it came out into closed beta at the end of July. It filled a really big void that we saw from so many of the BRs that were coming out and gave us just a solid multiplayer type experience with fun game modes and a really great, easy to access system. As we roll into 2021, I do not expect that progress, that new content and that new innovation to stop as we move into the next year. If anything, I expect it to grow even further with the development teams continuing to stay really behind it, continuing to stay active in the community and listen to our feedback, and also just as viewership and general publicity for the game grows, that will fuel their passion to continue to put out some amazing new content for us. I also think, and this is going to be a really big thing I think coming in 2021, that the game will become a full release game and come out of this beta stage. I do not think that this game should stay in beta for much longer. I think there's enough content, there's enough new features and enough good solid foundations that it could come out into a full release. Of course, the game will constantly be adapted and changed and new features will be added, but I do not think the beta tag is going to benefit it much longer. I think that removing it will help other people see this as a full release game and a game worth playing now. But with that being said, let's look forward to some of the gameplay features that I see coming into the new year. I'm going to start by talking about the new game modes, some of which we know are coming and some of which I'm just going to speculate about. Of course, this includes Wingman, which we just saw recently from the PTS server, and the Countdown game mode as well. I have mentioned it a few times, but I do think that this would be wasted as a limited time mode. I think that some of these modes could be really good as just core features of the game that everyone can play at any moment. Of course, that does come with challenges of having enough people in the game to fill out those queues so we don't have really long queue times. I really don't see that being much of a problem as we move into the new year though, with the player base expanding and us being able to get these features in. But I would love to see some more game modes being added. I think capture the flag type game modes will be really popular within the community and they have been asked for since early days. I think there's so many other limited time modes they could roll in for fun. The snipers only mode, Sniper Strikeout, is really enjoyable. Perhaps something such as like a melee only would be great as well. One that I would potentially like to see would be something kind of similar to Cranked from Call of Duty on some of the smaller maps, whereby when you get one kill, your life is then on a timer of 30 seconds or so, and if you do not get another kill in that time, then you explode and you have to respawn, and then you get bonus points for every kill you get while you're cranked. Something like that would be really enjoyable. I think they can take inspiration from other games and just put their own unique Rogue Company twist on it, give us some really good game modes. So far, the limited time modes I've seen have been okay for the most part. Sniper Strikeout is really enjoyable. Arms Race is not really my cup of tea. Hardcore Demolition, I don't really know how that went down well with the community. I didn't get a chance to play it. But generally, I do think that them adding more limited time modes for rotation will be a great idea, as long as they continue to focus on some more core modes, and I think Wingman and Countdown should be part of that. Now though, let's talk about new rogues and how often I would expect to see new rogues come into the game as we develop into next year. When the game came out into open beta, they introduced Dahlia as a new rogue. She was the first new rogue to be added to the game and it was a great addition with her adaptable play. Then 5 weeks later or so came Fixer, and 5 weeks later from that came Sigrid. Therefore, we can kind of expect to see a new rogue every 5 weeks or so. Probably once a month is a pretty good system, so I imagine it'll be somewhere between that 4 to 6 week range. If we're to follow that trend, what I imagine we're going to see going into 2021 is probably in total about another new 10 rogues. That is almost the perfect number because that will take us to about 26. And they did say they'll be looking at putting in a pick and ban system into the game at 25 rogues, meaning 2022 is likely the time that that pick and ban system will be adapted fully into the game. That's just my prediction, and I think 10 rogues over the year, or maybe even 11 or 12, could be quite achievable for them. I think they really have done a great job at coming up with unique ideas for every rogue, and so far, honestly, I think the game is pretty balanced with those rogues. I do not think anybody is necessarily amazing kit-wise. There's a little bit of over-tuning in some of the weapons, but that is natural. But I do think that in terms of kit, everyone fits in nicely and has their own unique playstyle. There's no copycat rogues. and there's no rogues who just stand out over the top of everybody else. And of course, as new rogues are added, we're going to continue to see new bug fixes, new balancing changes, just to make sure the game is in line generally. We'll see that all the way through 2021 as well, like we have through the later part of 2020. And then of course, new features that we'll see for the gameplay are going to be maps. We've already had 3 new maps be added to the game in Arena, Glacier, and Lockdown. And then you could also count District and Depot from the new 2v2 modes and Countdown that we saw on the PTS. So in total, we've had a good few maps be added. I think Lockdown is a pretty good map, and I've adjusted to it well and think it's good for the scene. However, I think that Glacier and Arena don't play super well in the landscape of the game. Maybe for some modes they'd be okay, but for the majority of modes, including Demolition, which should always be Rogue Company's focus, they don't play very well, unfortunately. Therefore, I am happy for them to slow down on the map releases. I do not think new maps necessarily are as important as new rogues, but new maps do add a good new flavor as long as they play well, and that needs to be the primary focus. They need to be able to play well, and hopefully they make changes to some of the maps that are not currently fitting that mold, just so they tweaked a little bit to play a little bit better. But if I were to put a number on how many new maps we would see into the new year, I would probably say it would be somewhere around the range of 5 to 8 new maps. And then the last gameplay feature, which is actually more of a cosmetic feature that of course we want to see, is going to be the Battle Pass. Now, we saw some leaked info from the Battle Pass on the PTS server when we were on it. We saw that it was 50 tiers. We saw that you could get Rogue Bucks inside the Battle Pass. And we saw that you could get XP boost during the Battle Pass, but we had no more information than that. Of course, these will all be cosmetic things. I do not think they'll add any core gameplay features into the Battle Pass like Call of Duty do with their new weapons. I do think it's just going to be a cosmetic feature, which of course goes down really well, is a great revenue stream for them, and is a great source of new sort of features and new content to shake it up for us. The speculation is that it'll cost somewhere between 900 and 1,000 Rogue Bucks, so that's about $9 to $10, and I think that's a pretty fair pricing line with what everybody else does as well. Now, how many Battle Passes are we going to see within the year, though? That is a good question. Because it's only 50 tiers, although Rogue Company do like to make us grind pretty hard for XP in this game, I do think that there's probably going to be a few Battle Passes within the year, like a few different seasons. I do not necessarily think that's going to line up with the ranked system, however, and I will get onto that when I talk about the ranked system in the next part of this video. With the Battle Pass, though, I do imagine they'll try and do something like 1 per quarter. I think that would be pretty fair, especially if you could earn the money for the next Battle Pass within the previous one. I think that would be a really, really good option to reward those people who had completed it, and that's kind of a standard you see amongst games like this. I look forward to these cosmetic features, and I do hope they really nail down on them and make them good, not just recolors. Maybe some of the early ones can just be recolors, but they need some really good bangers for weapon skins and rogue skins moving into that Battle Pass, so it's actually worth the grind for it. Now though, let's talk about ranked and where I see ranked going into the new year. I think when the game goes into full release, that is going to be the moment for a complete reshift of the game as we move into Ranked Season 1. At the moment, the ranked system we have is known as Ranked Beta and Ranked Season 0. So I imagine that when the game goes into full release in the first quarter of next year, that's going to be my prediction. That's when the first season of Rogue Company, the first Battle Pass will come, and the first Ranked Season will come as well. Now, it's fair to say Ranked has been a little bit of a disappointment in the Ranked Beta. Of course, they're just trying to test it out, get some foundations of what they think will work, and it didn't go over too well. The ranked system doesn't have very solid matchmaking, and the grind is really just that. A grind doesn't really feel rewarding for reaching the top rank. It's just kind of one of those things you do to get the emblem, and that's how I saw it. When I reached Rogue, I didn't feel like I was one of the best players in the world. What I actually did feel like was that I had put in enough time to manipulate the XP system where you gain more than you lose, and just grind up far enough to get that Rogue rank. And I'm really hoping that based on a few different features that will change going into the first season of Ranked. The first one being placement matches, which will really, really help the game. And we have seen from a tweet from Scott Gandy that is something they're looking at bringing in, and I would be really surprised if it was not part of the first ranked season. But you can't just have placement matches, you need something else to help the matchmaking of this game, and that is going to be a really solid MMR system. What an MMR system is like a background match-made ranking that assesses your ability of the game. This means that if you get placed in something like Silver, but your match-made ranking knows that you're actually a pretty good player and you belong sort of higher up, it will try and accelerate you through those early levels quicker. And if it knows you're in a higher level and you're struggling and you maybe need to be brought down a bit, it will take more away from you than you would normally see. These match-made rankings essentially try and place you in the best spot for you based off your performance within the game, and it's not necessarily just based off win. Of course, you will only gain XP if you win, and you will lose XP if you lose, but the amount you gain and lose will depend on that hidden MMR system. This is the way a lot of games do it, and actually is one of the best systems. What this essentially does is just allows the game and the ranked experience to be a bit more solid. You being placed with people either within the same rank as you or within the same MMR bracket as you, so that the games are a lot more fair, and you're not just being placed with anybody and everybody, and whether you win or lose, you're gaining or losing accordingly. I think those two things, the placements and that match-made ranking, are what are going to make the rank system solid, and what we're really missing out from at the moment, and what the community is craving for, especially the more competitive community who want Rogue to be something worth fighting for. Speaking of the rank system being worth fighting for, that also does mean more rewards for hitting different tiers within the game, more than just the little emblem you have next to your name, and more than just the Rogue rank emblem that you get at the end. I would love to see different cosmetic features for different stages of the rank, so if you're gold you get a reward, if you're platinum you get a reward, and so on. I think the more incentives they give, the more rewarding it feels, and therefore the better the rank system seems to the player base. In terms of how long the rank season should be, in my eyes it should be about a yearly cycle, with around 9 months being a core ranked season, and the 3 months beforehand maybe being some sort of pre-season where they can test in new big changes, such as that pick and ban phase, for example. The way that would mesh in with the battle pass seasons is that you would have, say, for the 4 battle passes across that year, you would have something like Season 1 Battle Pass Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4. Then when Season 2 of Ranked comes out, you have the Season 2 of the Battle Pass with the 4 different parts as well. Now, Ranked is obviously the most competitive a lot of players get as they try their grind, but I now want to talk about the actual competitive scene within Rogue Company, and where that will probably lead in 2021, or it's particularly where I want it to go. As a caster for Rogue Company tournaments, the competitive scene is definitely part of my focus. I did used to play competitively, but I've now stepped back to do that more caster role. But what I see 2021 bringing for the competitive scene is just a lot more of what we've seen so far, especially in the early stages of the year. I want to see more tournaments, whether it be CMGs, whether it be Rogue Rivals, whether it be Twitch Rivals, things just to gain more exposure for the competitive scene of this game, expose some of those amazing players to the sort of bigger orgs. A lot of viewership and publicity comes from the competitive scene of these games, from the esports scene, and we definitely need to continue to grow that to be a noticeable game within the market shares. So those sort of community things and Twitch-based things are definitely important. However, I do want to see more than just that. Now, we don't really know what's going to come of COVID-19 in 2021. The reports kind of say mixed things. If things do quieten down though, and by summer or quarter 2 or quarter 3, we are able to see a little bit more restrictions lifted and maybe some more safety, perhaps LAN events can go on as well, and that is a big moment for the Rogue Company esports scene. If and when that time comes, I would love to see these LAN events pop up. I would love to see people going. I would love to see bigger dedicated tournaments to these LAN events, and I just want to see all of that stuff grow as well. I think that's a really cool part of games. It brings the community actually closer together because they meet each other in person, they meet their friends they've been playing with online, and it really just helps grow the player base of the community and sort of gives some more authority to the actual tournaments themselves, because they're all based on LAN. So there's definitely no cheating, there's definitely no allegations, and there's more consistency in terms of pings and location, etc. And then finally, towards the mid or end of the year, I would love to see a high-res event be put on, depending on some of those restrictions of COVID, if they want to do LAN, or if they just want to do an online tournament. I do think that doing a big high-res event would be a great thing for this game. I don't know whether that's going to happen. That would just be something I would like to see, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. And then finally for this video, I just want to talk about some quality of life changes that I would personally like to see, and I know a lot of the community would like to see as well. One of these features for me is going to be a HUD change, where you can actually go and customize the HUD so the things you see on your screen when you're playing, such as your character, your health bar, your ammo, the rogue names at the top, just so that we can customize either the size of this or just, in fact, the different parts that we actually have on our screen by choice. I think just having that customization is a great option anyway, and I think it would just help some players who want it bigger or smaller for whatever reason. Another feature I would like to see for quality of life would be the ability to mute pings and quips from your teammates. Personally, I do not like to hear these all the time, especially when you get somebody who spams them. And so the actual ability to mute them rather than just the player themselves with their voice comms would be a great addition and not add too much in terms of the actual mechanics of adding it in. And then another feature that I thought would be great, and I actually thought of this because of spectator mode, but I think it would work for the actual players themselves, is that when you're in the plane at the start about to drop in for the round, there should be a little hologram above each player's head showing you essentially what they've bought. I think this would be great just so you know what your teammates have got, so you don't have to ask your teammate if they have lifeline. Maybe they're not on comms and they're playing Dahlia. You can see it that they have lifeline on their image. This will also help spectator mode so that when we're spectating people, we can actually see what they've bought as well on that screen, because that's a really big thing about commentating when you're casting, is talking about the different items that they've decided to buy and why. But when you're in spectator mode, you can't exactly see that. So having it sort of as a hologram above their head of basically what their item shop looks like would be a really good addition, I think. And then the last quality of life thing I want to touch on is some sort of API or tracking. That's essentially what allows external websites to use the tracking system within the game so that we can get some big raw stats. We can see who's in our matches, what level they are, what their MMR is, just basically all that stat tracking stuff. I think would be a really great addition. It's something I imagine we will see in 2021, because I think it would kind of miss the mark if they didn't. It is really important and people love that sort of statistical analysis. Okay then guys, that's going to take us to the end of the video, but I really want to know what you think is going to come from Rogue Company in 2021. So leave your comments down below. What do you think of the features I've talked about, and what features do you want to see yourself? Maybe it's a particular Rogue design you have that you want to share with the developers. Leave it in the comments. Leave everything about what you want to see from 2021 in the comments. Of course guys, make sure you subscribe to the channel. I'll be posting daily content going into 2021 as well, so don't miss out on that. Educational tips and so much more content you're not going to want to miss out on, so hit that subscribe button. You can also come follow me on twitch.tv/RADTHARGAMING to see live gameplay commentaries, guides, Q&As and playing with viewers. All the links you're going to need are down in the description below, but for now guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember, be loyal, be brave, be relentless, and I'll catch you in the next video.